Do you know what this channel needs? This channel needs a fancy ass intro catchphrase like, "What up, boy?" It just works. I found myself actually saying that on the phone at work to my wholesale customers. But this this podcast has been brought to you by the musings of a early middle-aged near midlife crisis mind. All right, so a long time ago, I'm thinking 3 to 4 years ago, I made a video and it's still on this channel somewhere, and it's called Adventure, and that's just the word, and it has an exclamation mark on it. So capital A Adventure exclamation mark. You can look it up. In a nutshell, I took my wife on a hiking trip, like a little nature hike, a small, short one, to what I, at that time, and I think maybe still at that time, to be my favorite view in the world that I had ever seen. And what it was, you would walk along this trail, and you all know I'm close to the water here. That is the Gulf of Mexico. And as you walked out amid the palms and the sawgrass and the muck and the mud and all this other shit, if you turned just right, then you didn't see any civilization. You know, the condominiums were outside of your field of view, and you could actually see the raw Florida. One of my favorite things. I love wilderness views. I love to see nature just going ape shit on itself. You know, I brought her there, and she went. She went with me because she figured it would make me happy if I shared to her what for me was the most special view. I can never tell. I can never tell, like in that circumstance, or when we went to Wyoming, or whichever. When we go to these things, if she's really enjoying them the way that I'm enjoying them, or if she's going through the motions just to make me happy. I mean, it's probably a little bit of both. And I mean, that's love. I mean, I go to the Ulta makeup stores and stuff to make her happy. You know, I appreciate the art of the whole makeup thing, but I don't I don't necessarily feel it the way she feels it. But now there too, when we went to Colorado, we went to, no, it wasn't Boulder National Forest. It was Rocky Mountain National Forest. Either way, I was in okay shape back then, but you know, I come from having almost an athletic life. So there was this spot near a little store where you could walk up to the top of this particular mountain. You could ascend a peak. And we're talking from where we were at, which was, I don't know, several thousand feet, of course. It was another 5 to 600 foot ascension to make the top. And you had to do this by foot. Now, my daughter was young at the time. I think she might have been 2 years old. And I carried her. I carried my daughter and ascended this thing. And if you ever want to feel like you're out of shape, you know, I wasn't even 30 yet. I must have been 29. Be not even 30 yet and have some old guy passing you. What do you tell yourself? Oh, the only reason why you passed me is because I'm carrying another human being here. But anyway, my wife did her damnedest to try to follow me up this hill. And I stopped as soon as she came on. And she made it easily to have, like, there's this little bench. I assume the bench is for people who decide to start making it. And I mean, it's in the perfect spot. Then again, it's going to be like, when you look at it, it's going to be opportunistic, like, gee whiz, I need to sit down. But if any of you have been hiking in altitude, well, it's the strangest sensation when you don't have your breath. It's almost like suffocating. So you sort of You sort of lose it for a little bit, in a manner of speaking, like physiologically. And you just need to know, and you need to have the experience. Well, if I just calm down, it's just I don't have enough oxygen in my blood. I just need to stop for a second and get that oxygen, then move forward, and this will pass. My oxygen stores will be built back up. But people who don't know that, you know, falling over and shit. But she saw, and insisted that I go on. And when I ascended this mountain, what a view! What a view! Because there's something, and we've talked about this before with my desire to do Everest in K2. When you ascend a mountain, everybody gets to see the view from the bottom. But the only people who see the view from the top are those that have been there, from the tops of the trees down beyond the tree line. Those are the only people that get to see that. And you only get to see that if the mountain accepts you. And if you're not making the oxygen, if you're not understanding how the mountain is talking to you, then you're not getting up there. But there she was. Now, what does any of this have to do with anything? Not. And why am I even talking about it? My secretary at work, she's a younger person, and her and her husband moved down here from New York for the outdoor type Florida lifestyle. And I'm always telling her, like, man, you guys need to get out to the Clearwater. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, it's easy. You get on the Veterans Expressway till you hit the water on 60. And then you park at the beach, and then you go to the beach, and then you eat lunch at Frenchie's. Piece of cake. Easy peasy. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, well, we tried to get out there, but there was really, really a lot of cars and stuff. I'm like, what time did you try to do it? She's like, well, about 11, 12. I said, you need to get out there like 6 and just park, and you're having your day at the beach. She's like, oh, haha. So fast forward, she had transferred to a different department, and then just came back to work for me recently, when my other secretary left to go take care of her folks who were aged, not really related to this story. And so she was talking about going to lunch and da 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 da. I'm like, oh, do I go and eat lunch alone in my car? And I said, here's what you should do. Go down such and such a road, take a left there, and there's a park, and there's a lake right there. And, if you're into it, go down there, take a look, see what you see. And she followed my directions, and she came back. She's like, oh my God, it's so pretty out there. And, had a bunch of funny stories and stuff. And, but it got me to thinking, when you have special places and special views, I mean, was it right for me to share that? Because that's where I told the secretary to go, is another one of those special places for me. If you want to see beauty, take a look at raw Florida. I mean, that's just what I dig. And I think we all have that with our homes to a certain extent. Any person that's an outdoorsman who's become I'm not using the word expert towards myself, but if you've become an expert in your area, take your Canterbury's of the world, or your Cody Londons, and in their own environment, which they see as beautiful, whether Canterbury's in his Ohio Valley or London's out in the desert, when we see the beauty of our home, we see a very different location than what other people do. But how do you share that, and who do you share it with? I mean, should that not have been something that I shared with her? I've brought my wife there many times, but I mean, it's a park. But I don't know. Is it right for me to watch movies with my wife that I watch with ex-girlfriends and stuff? I don't know. I just don't know. All right. Y'all take care, and we'll catch y'all later. Keep taking them doses.